Okay, guys, welcome. I am Egas. I'm your host. So, when you open your Photoshop on your system, you're going to have something very similar to what I have here. But depending on the version of Photoshop you're going to use it, you're going to be using. Me, I'm using the version 2017 of the Creative Cloud. So, when you open your Photoshop, definitely you are not going to see this. These are the files, the comps I got set up for this design. So you know how I just open them down so that it'll be easy for me to locate them all. You won't have this here, the layers that is already selected. So let's go over, but every other thing will be the same. So let's go over Photoshop entirely. So firstly, we have this toolbar, and it contains your tools that you're going to be using for your design in Photoshop. Now we have the move tool. The move tool you can use for moving objects around, you can use for picking objects, you can use for selecting objects. When I say select, well, let's move that word select because I'll use that very soon again. So you just need to pick objects and move objects, basically. So now we have the next tool, which is the marquee tool. The marquee tool is used to select. Now, the term select in Photoshop has a very important meaning, of which we are going to discuss when we are designing, and you will see the use of it. So we also have another selection tool. Maybe I've established that picking is different from selection. So there's another selection tool called the lasso tool. Now this allows you, this before we select rectangularly, but this will allow you to draw what you want to select. So that's how it works. So now you notice that there are some small arrows by these tools. Now, if you hold down on the tool, it will give you access to more tools. So you see under this polygonal lasso tool, we have magnetic there, so we have lasso tool. So I like leaving it at the polygonal because that's what I mostly use for my workflow. Under the rectangular marquee tool, you see the circular, the single row, the single column. So it just depends on what your workflow looks like. Now we have the magic wand tool. It's also a selection tool. It's very important for select when you want to do some easy cleanups. Maybe you have a white background you want to quickly eliminate. You just use that to select the white background. It selects and then press delete, and that's all. You eliminate that white background. So it's very easy. What it does is it selects all the pixels that are white and deletes it away from that picture. That's in the case of that white background picture. If you have a black background, or any case, you can even select someone's skin. You want to remove a brown patch, or you want to select a brown patch, or there's a whole lot of things you can do with your magic wand tool. So we have our crop tool, we have the eyedropper tool. Eyedropper tool is very important to select a color. So I may just do a basic example here. Let's use this eyedropper tool to select this blue. You watch what will happen to this color over here. Now selected, you see the color has changed. So it's used to select a color. You can select a color or any pixel. Next we have the spot healing brush. This is used for photo editing where you're editing maybe a portrait of a person and you want to remove spots from the person's face. Very effective tool for that. Remember, there are many other tools within that. You have a red eye tool, content aware move tool, patch tool, healing brush tool, and then the spot healing brush tool. We have the brush tool itself, which is used for making brush strokes. We have the clone stamp tool, which is used for cloning. So maybe you want to recreate. It's mostly used for photo editing. So maybe you want to, someone has a scar on the face. Instead of finding a way to smudge that scar or blur that scar, you can easily replace somewhere else on the skin that looks similar colored to that point and just replace it. So you clone a clear part of the skin with the bad scar. So that's what you use that tool for. You just use the clone. Also, we have the history brush tool. More on this later. We have the eraser tool. For erasing, obviously, we have the gradient tool. When you want to do a gradient, you can see a gradient here. This is a gradient from dark blue to some light blue over here. So that's a gradient. You can use gradient tool to do things like that. So we have the blur tool. We have the dodge tool, blur to blur, dodge obviously to dodge. There are still many other tools under this that you can always check out. Burn, sponge, and you have sharpen and smudge. So then this is the pen tool. Pen tool is very important when you are doing vector works. I know you would say, oh, vector is mostly for Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Illustrator, but Photoshop is still capable of doing some vectors, and you can use this tool. Anything you do with this tool is going to come out as a vector. And a vector means a shape or diagram that you have drawn, and you can scale it to any scale you want. You can scale it to times 500 and you will not lose quality. So it's very important for some jobs that you have this kind of tools in case of the scale you are going to be using the prints. Now we have our type tool, the horizontal type tool. You can have vertical type tool and that tools there. So it's used for typing, obviously. We have the path selection tool or direct selection tool. It's used for selecting, maybe you have drawn a path with your pen tool, you can use it to select and edit that path. You have your rectangle tool. If you open this, there are other shapes around the rectangle, ellipse, polygonal tool to draw polygons. You can even draw a star from the polygons. Line tool to draw lines, and then custom shape tools. Photoshop comes with a lot of custom shapes that you can choose from. So there's a whole wealth of shapes you can choose from here. Then we have the hand tool, the zoom tool, customize the toolbar, and then you have your colors. The front color is the foreground color, and then the back color is the background color. So you can easily swap these colors by pressing X. If you press X, they swap. So that's a shortcut for you to know. So you have this top bar here. You see, if you notice, for everything I clicked since it was changing, it's a responsive bar. So now, because we're in the custom shape tool, you see it activates that toolbar to work with this custom shape. So if you click the move tool, you see it changes accordingly to whatever tool you are using. So it's very responsive. You get to see more of this later. So let's come over to the panels we have here. So these are panels. We call these panels. This is a panel and this is a panel. So I have two panels here, or two sets of panels. Now this first one you are seeing gives more properties for me. It makes my workflow easier. Like if I select my text tool, or I will need to select my text tool to be able to access things like this. That is the font size, the weight of the font itself. But if you have this over here, you just click it. It makes it easier for you. Like you can easily edit things from here, and it works. It's better for your eyes. Your eyes don't have to start jumping around, going to the top to go and always select. So it's just within range of what you always be doing. So that makes it easy for me. I even centrally placed it because I always work with typography. Typography is an essential part of my designs. So that's just one tool over there. We have glyphs, we have notes, we have 3D, we have the brush tool. This is very important also. Some serious dynamics for brush. Maybe you want to do a scatter brush or maybe a basic circular brush. You can do a whole lot of crazy things from your brush panel here. And you have your info, you have your properties. Properties, maybe when you draw a shape, you see the properties of the shape here. You can have some level of control from this panel. Then moving on to the next panel, the next set of panels, we have the color panel and the adjustment, layers, and the rest. So now I like putting this as swatches, though you can always go to color, but then you can always come here to just double click and then you also have the same color. So I like leaving it as swatches because it gives me access to the previous colors I've used before the design. You see, because I selected this color earlier, you see it updates that, oh, this was the last color you used. So these are the colors I've been using since. Quite boring. But anyways, another feature is it gives you the name of the color. So if you leave it on the color, you should give the name 45% gray, light pea green. So it's a nice feature. It's a cool feature to have. So the next we'll have our adjustments. Now adjustments are used to adjust pictures. Basically, you can also use this for photo editing or to manipulate photos. You have brightness and contrast, levels, curves, exposure, vibrance, and the likes. So there is a whole lot of tools to play with around here. I think there's nothing really much in libraries for now. So layers, which is the most important part of Photoshop. Everything you import into Photoshop, everything you are seeing is a layer. If you type text, it creates a new layer. If you draw a shape, it creates a new layer. So you have to learn how to utilize your layer and manage it properly for your designs to come out properly, clean, and nice. So on that layer, you see we have kind. These are filters. You can filter your layer by kind, name, effect, and the likes. Now, if you select this, is responsive. Obviously, you set kind, so you can select the kind of things you want to see. Maybe now you see we only have a picture layer, a pixel layer, so we can't really see the effect. But if I want to see, I have maybe 20 layers down there and I have 3 text layers, but finding it is difficult. I can just filter by text, click text, and it will bring out just the text layers available for me. So you can see by name, see changes here. So just depends on what you want. So we have blend modes. So it's currently default at normal. More on this later. I'll be using a blend mode. Using blend mode in this design. Opacity, that's to reduce the transparency or to increase the transparency. Default at 100. So fill, also the hues in the picture. That's the fill. So you can reduce it. You can also increase it. And you can lock a layer. So you select a layer. You can lock it totally. You can lock it from moving, you can lock the pixels. There's a whole lot of things you can actually do here. And then obviously the list of layers is going to be present here. So now you have some other settings here. You have some effects. You have that's a layer style. You have mask, so add a mask. You have adjustments layer, more like this adjustments you saw earlier. Then you have a group to group your layers, and then to create a new layer, and then to delete a layer. You can right click on layers, and then there's a whole lot of options that also comes out. So there's a whole lot. It's a very, very robust software. So other than that, we have channels. Channels are for people that are into printing, and you can see we have the color separation already done for us here. So you can see the reds, the green, and the blue. So when you are doing your press printing, it's very easy to separate do your color separation right from Photoshop. Then we have paths. Paths is when you use your pen tool to draw, you would see the paths here, and you can work on the path. You can select paths, you can create new paths. It's just like layers, but layers contains everything. But paths are basically for vectors, what you have drawn using your pen tool. So that's that for that. So obviously up here we have some tools, Photoshop itself to edit the settings, file, edit, image, layer, type, select, filter, 3D view, windows, and likes. So you will get to use most of this. I'm sure you are going to be doing some playing around on your own, so I'll leave that to you. I'm using the Mac version of the software. In case you haven't noticed, you might be using the Windows version, the PC version, so that's totally up to you. It's going to be very, very similar experience. I believe so. So thank you guys for learning the introduction to Photoshop. We'll be learning more about the software even as we progress in the classes, so do well to keep up and follow up. Thank you very much.